So you're welcome to another edition of Crossline Solutions with Dina. It's such a delight to have you here, and I trust you're having a productive day. So as you settle in, kindly let us know where you're joining from. Let's do your location, where you're joining from, where you are at. Say hi to someone in the chat box, but we'd like to know where you're joining from. And if you know a colleague, as an HR professional, a team lead, a manager, or even CEO, right? You know they would benefit from today's conversation. It's not too late to share the registration link with them. We're going to have a great conversation today, and it would be nice for you to share with them. As you already know, on this platform, we don't gatekeep. We always share information. It's a great time to learn, and I'm sure you'd like for your bosses, your colleagues, your team lead, your manager to be in today's session because we're going to be talking about something very interesting. So we'd like you to share the link with someone that you know will benefit from today's session. I will be in the chat box, seeing where you're joining from. Okay, I have just one person. Tolu's joining from Bagada, also joining from Bagada. Hi, Tolu. I'm trying to set up TC fans. Okay, I can see at DBC. Hi, everyone. Favor's joining from Bariga. Hi, Favor. You're welcome. Hi, Adebisi. Hi, Damilola. Hi, JE. I'm guessing that's Janet. Hi, Louisa. Hi, Precious. Hi, Silas. Okay. Know where you're joining from. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining. Before we get, into it, right, into the conversation, let's get to meet you. Where are you joining from? I just said hi to you. Say hi to me too. If you want to unmute, it's fine at this point. Okay, hi, Adebisi. Ilupeju. Great, nice to have you, Adebisi. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Ademide Adeboye, and I'll be your host for today's session. Thank you for making the time to be here. All right, before we get right into it, you probably are just coming across cross-site solutions for the first time. And yes, we're going to be talking about something interesting. But before we get into that, who is cross-site solutions? Who are these people giving us webinars here and there? What are they really about? Right? We are cross-site solutions, and we're a people development and management consulting firm. We've been around since 2013. And we are committed to helping individuals, teams, and organizations unlock their full potential through practical learning. So we offer learning services, we offer consulting services, right? And we have our monthly webinar. And through this monthly webinar series, we decide to equip professionals, right, with relevant skills and insights that address today's workplace realities, from leadership to communication to employee engagement to psychological safety and even to people retention, which is what we're talking about today. And our goal is simple. We have just one goal, right? To help organizations build stronger people, stronger teams, and stronger business. Okay, so that is who we are. And before we dive in today, I know we're all here to talk about optimizing human capital retention. Let's do a quick housekeeping, right? Please, as you join in, let your microphones be muted so you're not interrupting the session. If you have questions along the way, you can always use the chat box. Put your questions there, and someone in the chat box will address your question. We have a representative of Crossline that will take your questions and answers, or if you have any other, maybe not even pertaining to this, someone in the chat box will respond to you. And for those of you that would like to listen to the session even after it has ended, we're going to record the session, or the session is currently recorded, and we will be sending you the link to listen to the session after. Please feel free to share your thoughts, your reactions, and let's make this as interactive as possible. Okay, so before we, go deeper, we have a poll, right? I'm gonna be bringing that up right now. We have a poll. I want us to let's just hear from you. I mean, optimizing human capital retention, it's something everybody's talking about in this age and time. So let's hear what people have to say about it. Just about 3 questions. Please, let's do one to fill. Please let me know if you can see the poll now. Let me know if it's up. Continue, please respond to me. Okay, it's up, so I can see that we're already filling. This is what we're going to be discussing today. So let's just read through, pick your answer, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I'm still waiting. Oh, 4 people. Okay, 5. Let's go. Oh, interesting. Okay. We're gonna say our score. Hmm. 6 people. More than 6 on this call. So I'm hoping to get more answers. 8. Okay. 9. I think I'll just do one more and then end the poll. Let's get one more. It's an interesting conversation. So let's get one more and we end the poll. Okay, I'm still waiting. We have over 20 people on this call. After this, let's get 10. Let's get 10 responses and we end the poll and get right into the conversation. Still waiting. Just one more person. So we can continue. We don't have much time. Okay. All right. Thank you. So, our first question here says, in your opinion, what's the biggest reason employees leave organizations today? Option 1 says poor leadership. Option 2 says, option 1 has 44%. Option 2 says lack of career growth, and we have 22%. Can we see the results? I think we can. Option 3 says poor community, lack of recognition and engagement. Nobody picks that. Wow. So you don't think people leave because of lack of recognition? That's interesting. For compensation and benefits, the 3%. So the highest in this one is poor leadership. So people leave organization today because of poor leadership. Let's go to the next question. It says, which of these do you think has the greatest impact on employee retention? Option 1 says career development opportunities. We have 22%. Workplace results. Workplace culture. Okay. That seems to be highest. Which of these do you think has the greatest impact on employee retention? So people stay because of your culture. Interesting. Recognition and rewards, 11%. Which this could not even be, because the first one says nobody picks recognition and engagement. Okay. The third question says, which retention strategy do you think your organization needs most right now? Someone say better recognition and reward system. Nobody said career growth. Really? That's great. Improved manager-employee relationships. Okay, we have 25%, and the next 25% is about flexible work arrangement. Oh, okay, this is interesting, but I'm just going to leave the conversation to our facilitator to help us tie it all together. Right.
If you're speaking, you're muted.
Thank you so much. I was trying to move my slide.
You have a couple of people in the waiting room, by the way.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay.
Is it possible to skip this and we just get straight into it? Because of time.
Okay, we'll get right into it. Sorry about the technical issues earlier on. So, our facilitator for today is a seasoned HR professional and trainer. Her name is Adeshola. She's an human resource management, like I just said, with extensive experience spanning in the FMCG, fintech, banking, management consulting, and logistics sector. She specializes in designing and implementing people management strategies across the full HR value chain with a strong focus on building high-performing culture and aligning people initiative with business objectives. Beyond our work or our corporate work, Adeshola has founded several community initiatives, including Niger Job Hub, Tribe HR Club, Salt in the Marketplace, reflecting our commitment and empowering individuals and organizations through purposeful HR, leadership coaching, and mentorship. Let's give a quick look into educational and professional background. Additionally, has an MBA in business and management, Lexford University, a BSc in Norbanjo University, and associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management. I think we can all agree with me that Adeshola is the person she's the right person to actually talk to us about human retention. And right about now, ladies and gentlemen, please in the chat box, let's give a clap. Let's welcome our facilitators, which can also use the React emojis, right, like I'm doing right now, to welcome our facilitator to take us on this journey of human capital retention. Please welcome Adeshola Aliogo.
Okay,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me. I don't know. I can't be the only one who sort of sometimes I cringe when my profile is being read. I wish it could be skipped sometimes. Thank you everyone for the warm welcome. Thank you to the CrossSty team for inviting me. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I see the room, 20, let's say 20 or 19 participants. It will also be nice to, I mean, I'm grateful for how the conversation started. I already have a perception of how we see the reasons why people leave organizations, the factors that will drive retention. And it's a critical conversation to have because as an HR professional myself, this is always top burner. Sorry, I'm using my work laptop, so I need to reject a call. Just hold on, please. Just a moment, please. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you again for inviting me. So you help me control the slides and we can get started. I will be looking away a bit because I'm joining this call on two laptops. So if there's any metric that HR professionals track or people in general, we know that we talk a lot about attrition rate. Let me even ask you, let me ask, do you think there's anyone in your organization at the moment who isn't affected by attrition? Is there anyone? So by anyone, I'm talking to team members. I mean, I'm referring to team members. I'm referring to supervisors or line managers. I'm referring to the organization as a whole. Is there anyone who isn't affected by retention or attrition? Let's use the word attrition. You can please put it in the chat, and I'd love to just see your comments. I just want to hear your perspective on how you perceive the impact of exits or attrition within a business. I'm reading the chat, so please feel free to drop a comment. You can say everyone, you can say, oh, it's just HR. You can say it's just the supervisor, oh, it's just the CEO. It's fine. That's probably your own perception. Haven't seen any. I need to be sure that we're all here with me. I'm watching out for it. Please let me see your entries. Everyone, thank you to Lua Lokbeojo. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Any other entries? It can't be just Lua Lokbe now. It can't be just her. We have a room of about 18, 19 people. Can I see your chats? Okay, I'll just give it a few more seconds. I want to believe Tolu Lokpa is saying everyone. So yeah, it's everyone. As it's a team member, thank you. Thank you for all your comments. As a team member, sometimes what exits does to you is that it makes you begin to ask yourself, should I still be here? Is something wrong? It's always sometimes a reminder, a subtle reminder that, oh, people are leaving. Do I also need to leave too? Why is it that people are getting jobs? What's wrong with me? It depends on the state that you're in or the state of your mind at the time. As a line manager, you're constantly asking yourself, is there something wrong with me? Why are people leaving my team? For instance, in my own space, I've observed in the last 1 year or 2 years that I've experienced exits in information security. It's like it's a skill that is constantly sought out for. People will typically assume that in a space like a fintech where I work, maybe I'll be losing a lot of engineers, but that's really not even the case. But because this information security people are not just wanted in the fintech, they are wanted in the banks, anywhere where there is a high risk of cybersecurity issues, they are wanted there. So as the line manager in that space, I was teasing him a few days ago to say, I need to check you what's going on. But I know that the reason for the exits in that space isn't really because of the line manager, because that's one of the things that we check. As a CEO, what you see on your screen, or a founder of a business, or anyone who is deeply interested in numbers or the impact of attrition, you would see that the cost is beyond just somebody leaving. If you begin to look at it critically and, break it down, you'd find out that it's a lot more than just replacing somebody. So I took time to think about this particular slide to say, let's even break down the costs of, attrition. What exactly can these numbers mean? When somebody leaves your team, so you imagine that someone is earning 200,000 naira. That's very small money if we look at it in today's world. What is costing in that moment? You may even think that, oh, in that period, when you haven't hired that person, you might want to assume that you're saving that person's salary. Say you didn't hire a replacement in a month or in 2 months. You might want to assume, but you need to think about other costs that are probably even in your blind spot. So the first thing is, depending on how you hire in your team, you're probably going to advertise, you're probably going to engage agencies, depending on how critical that role is or how quick you want to fill it. All of the time you spend in interviewing, the money you're going to spend in, another background verification, certificate verification, medical checks, and all of those things. Everything goes into the cost of that replacement. So sometimes it's productivity that is lost. Sometimes it is the fact that when somebody leaves a team, when I was talking earlier about the impact of an exit on the team, if you're in a team and somebody is leaving your team, what would most likely happen is that there will be additional responsibilities for you during the time that role is being filled, because work needs to continue, the business needs to continue. So you'd find out that you're doing more. So it's impacting even on your health. It's impacting on the well-being of your team members. People are overwhelmed. So we need to look critically into costs like onboarding. No matter how brilliant somebody is, except they have worked in your organization before, except they understand your system, they would need time to be onboarded. They would need time to adjust. So there's a time for knowledge transfer, there's a time for knowledge internalization, and there's a time for them to now then be able to put that knowledge into the work that you've hired them to do. Most of the time, 3 months. In some organizations, they do probation for 3 months, probation for 6 months. So there's just a lot of cost that goes into it. Is attrition really anybody's fault? To be honest, when you look at it, sometimes it's just economic factors. People just want to move on. Here's something that I always say. I always say that people leave organizations, and that's the truth. They will always leave organizations. But the three things that matter to me as an HR person, or as anybody at all is, or as a leader in an organization, is first of all, why are they leaving? When are they leaving my organization? And where are they going to? It matters because why, which is like the proactive measure, right? And we're going to talk about reactive and proactive measures, which is like proactive measure. At least let me know if I wasn't able to detect it early enough and they are now leaving. Why? Most of the time, they won't even tell you the truth. They will just tell you, oh, it's career growth. But those who value you, those who know that you need that information will probably tell you the exact reason where they are going to, maybe for a better pay, and they'll tell you, oh, this is the pay they are giving me, it's a higher pay and all that. And when I was talking about the cost of replacing a role or an exit, when I was talking about it, rehiring somebody, another cost that goes into it sometimes is even the salary cost. But what you most likely find, rather, excuse me, is that the person you're hiring isn't going to earn exactly what you were paying before. You're probably going to be paying higher. So again, we have agreed that there is a problem because talent is now more aware of their value. Those who are truly talented, they're not going to wait behind. They are taking their careers into their hands. And so that's why we HR professionals or stakeholders need to understand and know that rarely does resignation begin in the first day or the day that the person has resigned. Somebody who has resigned has probably resigned in their mind 3 months ago, because that's the time that they begin to start looking for an opportunity from the moment they resign. So even when you start having those conversations about retaining them, it's risky because there's still a tendency that they would leave. Please, you can help me move into the next slide. Yes, thank you. So again, I think in my explanation or in my introduction, I've also talked about why replacements might not necessarily always be the solution to managing retention. It's easy for you to say, okay, when they leave, I'll just replace them. But I know that it can be tough. For instance, I put it in a group a few days ago, and I was just joking around that, oh, it seems that CFOs, they don't like to stay in one place again. My CFO that joined me last year is already leaving, not necessarily because there's something wrong, but again, for very personal reasons. But what happens in this period is I have to quickly find somebody to replace that person. But before that period, the team, whether I like it or not, is going to suffer. We need to begin to see how to put things together. So if you look at each of the things that are in these boxes, right, in front of us, let's remember that disengagement again starts right before a resignation happens. And one of the things that we must do is that we must train leaders, we must train responsible people to be observant enough to know when disengagement happens. You suddenly find out that a team member who used to be a very strong contributor in meetings, wants to get involved in everything, is suddenly not interested in contributing anymore. They are quiet. We need to be careful, or is it careful or caring enough to want to ask questions? And that's why when I saw it earlier in the poll that was shared, I was surprised that not a lot of people talked about leadership as a key factor in retention. I'm sure we've all heard the saying that people don't leave organizations, they mostly leave leaders. I know that there are other personal reasons. They want more money, no matter how nice the leader is. But a lot of times as well, the moment where somebody even begins to consider leaving is probably because of a bad relationship internally. But they begin to question themselves and why they are there. So whether we accept it or not, it is very key. You observe that somebody who used to be very present is no longer as present. So they are there physically, they come in late to meetings, whether it's a virtual meeting, they are typically just disengaged. When we talk about engagements, we're always mistaking it for, when I like it, when I always laugh when HR people talk about engagements and they talk about thank God it's Friday, all the fun things. That's not employee engagement. When you want to know that somebody is engaged, they are contributing, they are giving in their 1001%, they are identifying problems before they become a problem. They are very vested in the business. And so when you begin to have that, where they are now showing minimum efforts, they have quiet quits. That's what happens. A lot of times that person has been unhappy, but the person has left your organization like a year ago, but you're still seeing them physically. They are just now working for their pay. That's what quiet quitting is. And you don't want such things. They are no longer interested in innovation. They are just, so again, you have noticed it. What happens if you do not quickly address it is that that person will resign. Then you now start having those conversations. Oh, what happened? Why are you going? At that time, they are not even interested in having the conversation with you. So let me tell you something that I have done in the past that has worked for me. Typically, maybe because, and I know that I can work even for large organizations, maybe because I have worked in places where I have like 200 people, 300 people, 150, depending. I will typically hold stay interviews when I get into a place newly, especially if I see that my attrition rate in that organization is high. I want to understand why. In fact, sometimes too, when the retention rate is high, you also should be interested in knowing why people are staying. And so that's why one of the ways to look at it is also to hold stay interviews. So for such an employee who already seems disengaged, have that conversation. Okay, what's been keeping you here? What will make you stay? Have you ever thought of leaving? They're difficult conversations to have. As a new person, it gives me the opportunity to quickly get some feedback because they still trust me at that time, even if they don't necessarily trust the organization. I still have their trust because I'm new. So I'm not saying you have to be new before you do it, but you can do it through your managers, depending on the level of trust that they have in your managers, depending on how big your organization is. But these are ways to quickly detect why an employee is disengaging. Now, the third one speaks to, everything that we do. You now begin to think about the replacement, start asking questions. Most of the time, if the notice period is not long enough, the outgoing employee doesn't even have time to do proper knowledge transfer. And so that's why data is very important. And I mean, looking at what we have on the screen here, 42% of voluntary turnover is preventable. And most managers never see it coming. I think what's more shocking to me about this particular data is that, and which is something that we'll still see much later, is that many times about 50% of your employees are thinking about leaving you. It's very scary. And it's the reality. Like in my space, I think I'm constantly checking my attrition rates. The truth is there are battles that we can win and there are battles that you just have to leave depending on exactly why the company wants the employee wants to leave. The important thing is that you have at least carried out all the steps that you need to carry out. Now, moving on to our next slide. Thank you. Please help me move to the next slide. Thank you very much. The slide says 50 to 200% of an employee's annual salary is a typical cost to replace them. I think I already highlighted it earlier that it's very rare that you had someone who was earning like, say, 100,000, and then you find somebody who's going to earn that same 100,000. You most likely always pay double or triple of that amount. And because the market itself, by the time you're looking for somebody to fill that role, you're looking for somebody who's as experienced as that person who left. And for you, this person has been in your organization. The person has been trained. The person understands your system. It takes time to find the exact, you won't even find the right replacement. You will actually just dabble into it with hopes that this person will be able to do the job as expected. But then you probably have to pay more. And it has happened to me, if we're being very practical. Somebody left my company in January, and by the time we got very good CVs, we had good engagements with people. And in having the conversations, we realized that there was no way that we could hire a direct replacement. We had to then go back to looking internally. But that is costing us time, whether we accept it or not. So again, the call is for us to not wait till somebody leaves. It's for us to be proactive about it. You need to consider all the time, the recruitment time, the notice period time, the time you train. If you're not careful, projects will be delayed. Depending on the person's role, customer confidence will die. So again, think about it. They say 71% of voluntary exits trace back to poor management, not pay. I know, and I like the poll again, going back to the poll, that we had a different varying options. And of course, it wasn't just pay. There are people who just leave organizations just for their sanity. There are people who just leave, they don't even mind. I personally have taken a pay cut before. In fact, I have left an organization for no job before, just because of other factors, such as leadership, such as my well-being. So people would leave when you haven't created the right environment for them to thrive. Some people will say, oh, I'm ready to face it no matter what comes my way, but everyone has a threshold. So as we established earlier, people might not necessarily leave your company because your company itself is bad, doesn't pay well. They are leaving because of your managers. And that's why we must establish that it isn't just HR that is responsible for retention. It isn't just the CEO, the founder that is responsible for retention. It is every one of us. The experience that somebody gets. For instance, you see people who join a company and in their first day, based on the engagements, conversations that they've had in the corridors, they have already said, I don't think I'm going to use more than 6 months here. I'll give you an example. When I started my career, the very first job that I got, which is one of the reasons why I got into HR, the person who, even though it wasn't called onboarding at the time, the person who welcomed me into the team looked at me and said, why you join this? And he said it in pidgin English. Why you join this kind of company now? And I was like, I was confused. Said, because people know they grow for here. Just imagine somebody, and that is the risk of having disengaged employees at critical points of engaging people. They are not only disengaged, they are also going to pull all other people into that circle of disengagement. And so that's why you must constantly check. That's why you see organizations will do surveys to know what their net promoter score is. And they will be wondering, not wondering, they will, with that data, they will know how well people are excited to refer their organization to friends, to family, to whoever is in their cycle. But when you have very, very low engagement levels, those data will show. That's why you must be interested in data. So again, you must establish the behavior. So I think I want to throw this open now, and feel free to unmute. Feel free to also drop a comment. What behaviors make employees leave managers? I'd like to hear your thoughts. I just want to be sure that we are together and I'm not speaking to myself. Thank you, Silas. I'm seeing your comments. Thank you very much. Keeps me going. Can I see what behaviors make employees leave managers? Please, let's do that quickly. Micromanagement. Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who else? Who else? Micromanagement is something here.
Someone is raising his hand. I think you're
Okay,
not speaking.
please, distrust. If you're, yes, please, I'm not saying, just go ahead and speak.
You can speak, Lisa.
You can speak.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. For me, I think office politics can make one leave the environment. Office politics.
Office politics. Thank you. I'm going to drop that in the chat. Who else is sharing something with us? Maybe in the chat. Office politics can make people, distrust their managers, leave. All right. I think that's, yes, insecurity. And that's very critical. Insecurity caused by many factors. You're in an organization where there's been some downsizing. You're also beginning to ask yourself, is it possible that I'm next, sometimes too, that may cause it, or somebody is threatening you, or somebody is retaliating based on the fact that you're open and you're willing to give feedback. So there are many reasons why even each and every one of us here would leave organizations aside pay. The third data we have here says 40% of employees worldwide say they are considering leaving within the next 12 months. This is the part that I said I think is a little scary. Thank you, Silas. An employee was welcomed with the remark, "Why did you join this kind of company?" This creates a poor first impression and can negatively affect engagement from day one. Very succinct. Thank you so much. And yes, so again, it means that half your workforce are open to opportunities, and you have to understand and accept that retention is no longer optional. It is a business strategy. At least you want to know that as an organization, you tried your best in retaining your staff. If we have time, you also know that as you're trying to, and that's a different conversation on its own, as you're trying to, build on retention, build your strategy on retention, you must also think about building pipeline for talents. But I guess that's probably a part 2 of this conversation. But here we are going in with a positive mindset that retention is possible, maybe not 100% of the time, but it's possible if we take it as a critical business strategy. And that's why you see that in some organizations, when it comes to KPIs, people KPIs, you see managers have KPIs for retention. That depending on how many people leave your team is going to affect your bonus, because they believe that you have a huge part to play in helping to keep the people that they work so hard to get. So let's move to the next slide where we talk quickly about reactive and proactive retention. It's just pure English. Reactive. Somebody has resigned. And if you're on LinkedIn, you hear a lot of people come and say, "Oh, I got a job. I resigned and they were offering me money. I refused to take it." Truth is, and I'm not going to lie to you that I haven't done that before. I have done it before. Sometimes, it's in your blind spots. If you're not very paying attention to it, somebody resigns. And that's why you must be aware of who your key talents are, who your critical talents are, who your key roles. Don't make the mistake of thinking that your key talents are only or critical roles are only the roles that are in your management level. Any role that you know that is scarce in the market, any role that you know will be difficult for you to fill within a specific period, any role that those are your critical people, and you must be interested in their welfare, in their retention. So again, a reactive person, someone has resigned, you probably maybe want to negotiate with them and want to ask, "Oh, what can we do to keep you? Why are you leaving?" Which is typically what most of people do. And then you're in a meeting, you're presenting your exit data. "Oh, this is why our people are leaving." That's what and then next thing you go into replacement mode. But even if you have missed something and the person resigned, you can also ask yourself the question, as somebody who cares, to say, what signs did we miss? Ask that question. Do that diagnosis of saying, okay, Tope left our team. Meet the manager. Were there signs, were there things that you noticed with Tope? And then that manager can say, "Okay, yeah, I noticed that Tope was, taking a lot of excuses. There's a lot of joke, when, for instance, you see your colleague suddenly very well dressed up, you tease them and say, so you're so dressed to this, like you have an interview. The one that is always funny is when somebody goes on leave and the next thing they come back with resignation. It happens to the lots of us. But imagine that you're a doctor. In fact, if you've gone to the hospital in recent times, right, you would see that before they treat you, after they've asked you for, what's wrong with you? In fact, before you even see the doctor, a lot of times, at least for me, they will first want to check your blood pressure. There are many things they will check. They're not going to wait for you to have a heart attack before they check your blood pressure. So again, that is why checking the health of employees, and I'm not saying health, typical health, I'm saying just generally taking a pause, taking surveys like mood surveys, for instance, where you just ask somebody, how are you feeling today? And you just ask that question, ask people to respond with an emoji, ask people to respond to whether they're happy, sad, indifferent, or whatever. I've seen a case where somebody's response was that they were suicidal. And you begin to wonder, in that instant, we're able to quickly, because of that feedback that we got, get that person into an assistant program. And thankfully, that feeling led. So again, you have to be proactive, whether before or after. Just make sure that you are constantly checking. You're monitoring your retention rate, you're monitoring your attrition rate, you're asking and you're asking the right questions. And most importantly, when you ask those questions, take action. I'll give an example. When I did a stay interview some time ago, I found an employee who was very, very critical. But guess what? He was tired of his role. But he was still putting in all the work, doing so much. But this guy was tired. He felt like he had explored all the areas in that role and he was looking for something else. But if we didn't have that conversation that we had, we wouldn't have known. So we had that conversation and we're able to quickly repurpose this guy to say, okay, you know what? There's this vacancy here. Would you like to take it? And the guy took it and we're able to still keep him for longer. If we didn't do that, he would have been looking outside for a new challenge, because there are people like that. And that's why you must approach retention in a bespoke manner. You can't just assume that everybody wants the same thing. You must be able to find out what each person wants. Maybe depending on the size of your organization, it may not necessarily be by individual, but it could be by demography, it could be by gender. That's why your DEI data must be close to you. Whether you're HR, whether you are not HR, you must understand this is what a man wants, this is what a woman wants, this is what somebody in this age wants, and so many more. So, question I would ask you today, and it's just for you to reflect. If you were to be true to yourself, what side describes you today as an individual or as an organization? Are you proactive or reactive? You can answer that question, whether you're proactive, reactive, or you're just somewhere in between. But because of our time, I'll just go straight. If you would like to discuss later, we can then discuss that later. So if you answer that question well, you can then ask yourself, what will transition to being proactive look like for you? So if you are currently more reactive, what are the changes that you need to? Because I don't believe in just attending webinars and sessions for the sake of it. There has to be actions that you're taking from whatever it is that you're listening to. So let's move quickly to the next slide, which speaks about, thank you so much, the systems driving retention. What systems driven retention looks like. Okay, so if we look at the principles here, diagnosis, right? You notice that you're not guessing. So imagine, in fact, if you have doctor friends or you've ever chatted a doctor and you tell them about your symptoms, they will tell you to take a test. They won't just start prescribing drugs based on what they feel, based on what you have said, because the fact that you have headache doesn't necessarily mean that you have malaria. So you're not guessing. It's an ongoing thing, as we've talked about. You're constantly looking in, you are checking to be sure through structured audits. Like I said, those surveys, state interviews, typical your exit data, you are asking questions regularly. And it's not even just about the annual engagement survey, it's individualized. That's why there has to be a system that encourages one-on-one conversations. And there are many opportunities to do it. Performance management is an opportunity. There is no way that you're doing performance management and there's no one-on-one conversation baked into that process. So if you truly want to get feedback about people, you have to, if your organization is a very large one, you must train your managers to be able to hold those difficult conversations. If they cannot hold those difficult conversations, then they're not fit for the job. And that's it. You probably just have people who are great at getting their job done, but are not leaders. And we need to separate the two things. There are people who are fantastic managers, but are not leaders. Because as a leader, it's not about you just doing the job. It's about you protecting the interest of the organization. So you need to know that it is critical to approach it. Because I could want a promotion. Another person could want, I just want flexibility. I'm just looking for a job that will allow me have time for my children at home. So if it's not giving me, and I know that my job can be, because design is in that manner, I'll look for it outside. Somebody reached out to me to say, oh, they're hiring for head of HR over the weekend. And the first thing I saw was full-time on-site. And I laughed. I hadn't even looked at the salary budget or the fact that I'm not even very open at the moment. The first thing I saw was that on-site, and it put me off to say, okay, on-site, I am like hours away from where the office is. I am going to spend all my time in traffic. So you need to be careful not to generalize what will keep an employee. Flexibility. It's funny how some of us didn't pick recognition earlier, but some people, that's what they want. They just want to be recognized. Just tell me well done for what I've done. Don't even give me money. I'm not, you can give me money as an addition, but just recognize me and say, well done. Don't assume that everybody wants Thank God It's Friday. Everybody wants to play games. Everybody wants pizza. Everybody wants party. Don't make that assumption. And I will always say to people I have conversations with, don't say because, oh, it's trending, this organization is doing this, that's what I will also do. Always approach the work in a bespoke manner, tailored manner. Imagine you're making a tailored outfit. You want to know what will fit the person. So what is it that, what fits your organization? That's what you must consider in building your retention strategy. So it's not fixed because you have different people with different interests at different times. So it has to be ongoing. Thank you. I want to say thanks a lot to Silas Bello. You're doing a great job. Thank you. So let's move to the next one quickly. The next slide. Thank you. Meet the retention audits. Right. So again, I think in my explaining the previous slides, I have talked about this, but I will still speak further, right? So the signal scan, you need to consider the evidences that suggest that somebody might leave. It's very important. Like I said earlier, is somebody coming late to work? Is the person missing their deadlines? Especially if somebody that you know has been great and all of a sudden they are withdrawing, their engagement is poor, you need to get to the root cause and ask why. The why is important. You know, I said earlier, the 3 questions you must ask. Why are they leaving? When are they leaving? Where are they leaving to? So the why. Why is this person coming late? Are they going through a family issue? Is their child sick? Is something going on? Is there flood in their area? Is it because the company is not showing empathy? Whatever it is, just ask. You must ask why until you get to the root cause. And you must build trust that will make people want to share. It's very, 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 very important. And ask yourself, if this person now resigns tomorrow, how painful will it be to us? How painful? Ask yourself, if Shola leaves our organization tomorrow, will it be painful? Trust me, if you're not asking these questions, the employees are asking. I'm asking myself, if I say I'm leaving hydrogen tomorrow, will it be painful to hydrogen? How well do they value me as a talent in the organization? Because everybody wants a sense of value, whether from themselves or from other people. So again, you have to ask that question. And then you need to then respond to say, what are the specific interventions that will match this particular employee? What can we do? If this person is a critical hire to us, in my previous organization, the CEO would go to any lengths to keep somebody that's critical. And he will tell you, this one, I cannot lose. No, even if it is to give you a promotion now and not pay you now, I say, see, I'm giving you this promotion now because I can't, although I can't afford it to, but I can guarantee you that in December, this is where your salary will be, and we'll document it. People will come and say that, oh no, you are treating this person. Say, it may not be the best practice, but it worked for him in helping him to retain talent. So again, one of the confusions that we make is that we're always thinking about best practice, best practice, best practice, best practice. Our best practice is good. Best practice may not necessarily be the best practice for your organization. Your organization is not even mature enough for general global best practice. So you need to, again, know how to solve your individual problems. Slide 10, apply the audits. Please help me move. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so this one, I would like you to reflect, right? Sorry, I didn't take a survey to know the people that we have in the room, but let me ask you, I want you to think about that one employee, just that person. There's one person right now, and they exist everywhere. That's one person who is very, very important to your company that left. Just think about it. They left you. They left maybe at a time after you've trained them, after you spent money or whatever. You had so much hope in them and they left. Can you also, I wish we had time. If you can you talk about or maybe share on the signals that you can identify, with that person? Did anything surprise you? If there was anything that you could change, what would you do differently? Think about it. You can write it down. You can share if you want. Because of our time, I will just go on. But I can tell you about somebody right now in my own head that one of the things that I observed about them is the conversations that, in having conversations with them, some of the things they said, they seemed like joke, but when they were saying them, I could sense that this person was already considering leaving. Maybe there's not much I could have changed for that person because of who they were. I probably would have created a better system that created more comfort. So again, it's always important to do a reflection as a leader, as a stakeholder, to say, what can I do differently what could I have done differently to keep this person? Again, I will keep saying that the employee that will still leave will leave, but you just want to know that you have tried and you've at least you were able to do the diagnosis, you were able to get the right data, you were able to try some things. If you tried and the employee still wants to leave, then you need to then build your talent pipeline and make sure that there is a successor for that person. I know a lot of times we think about succession planning as a big deal. You just need to break it down, make it as simple as possible. What you're doing is that you're identifying a critical role. and you're beginning to say, what if the person decides to leave? Anything can make somebody leave. God forbid, even death. What happens after? So there has to be someone, whether in that person's function, outside the person's function, outside the organization, that you're keeping an eye on. I was in a meeting the other day and somebody was talking about, how some companies will just do meet and greet. They're not doing it because they love people. They're just trying to spot, people that may eventually, be useful for the organization. So let's move quickly to slide 11 as we decode employee motivations. And we are looking at the DISC model, right? This speaks to dominance. Essentially, what we're saying here is this: you need to understand different people and what motivates them. That's just what we're saying. Understand different people, as we said, individualize it. This model doesn't put people in boxes. It just really helps you to understand what energizes your employees. Some people just want ownership. That's the thing. They want ownership. Some people want to be recognized publicly. We want you to sing their praises. I did something earlier today, and I just went to the data of my learning tool in-house. And I started looking at people who had 100% completion of their learnings, those who had 0. And for the people who had 0, I sent them individual mails to say, oh, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. You need to do better. Sorry, just give me a moment to drop a mail. Sorry, not a mail, message. So yeah, as I was saying, this is not good enough. And for those who don't have 100% completion rates, sent all of them a well done email, copying their bosses. For some, like the next time I'm putting out another training or whatever, because Adeshola recognized me the other day, I'll quickly go and do it. So you need to be able to be flexible in your approach and just understand what motivates people to perform, what motivates them to stay. For some, they just want, somebody talked about insecurity earlier. Stability is what they are looking for. That steadiness. They want you to acknowledge their loyalty. For some people, clarity. You are clear. They want a structured process. They want a structured environment. That's what helps them. So again, you need to know what style works for people. And that's why some organizations will invest heavily in personality assessments, because they want to understand their employees. It's not just for recruitment. Most of the time, we just use it for recruitment, and that's the end of that report. How about going back into it to say, okay, let's understand this person. What's their learning approach? Do they like self-paced learning? Do they like classroom learnings? You can get different insights from those reports. Don't just do it you are doing the recruitment and that's it, you're done using it. So again, always ensure that you're answering. So I would ask you in the room, ask yourself, you can answer to yourself, what style do you think you are? What motivates you? And then if you tried, have you tried motivating someone the way you like to be motivated? You may not necessarily get the right answer, because what motivates all of us in this room is different. If we break down the poll that we answered earlier, you see that what will make each and every one of us stay in our various organizations. And it also depends on the stage in their career. The truth is, there are also times that you need to learn. Sometimes it's just money that people are looking for, if we're being very honest. They just want money. The stability they're looking for is financial stability. They have responsibilities. That's why you see those data about demography, all those things matter, how long somebody has worked. I put a post on LinkedIn. If you go to my LinkedIn now, you see the last post. I made it yesterday. I saw a job role where a company is looking for a compensation and benefits officer with 4 years experience, preferably FMCG. And guess how much the salary is? 220,000 naira. I'm asking myself, is that net or gross? Even if it's net, that is ridiculously low. Some people pay their drivers 220,000 naira, 200, 250, 150,000. So you're telling me that I'll have 4 years experience and then I'll apply. If anybody applies for that job, it's probably because they are frustrated and they are tired and they are desperate. So while you are doing the diagnosis, whatever you're finding out, you need to do something about it. No matter how small, you must do something about it, except you absolutely cannot do anything about it, except you absolutely cannot do anything about it, but you just have to. So whether it's compensation, benchmarking, do it if you truly want to keep your people. We're rounding off soon. Let's move to communication styles that retain. Thank you for moving quickly. Let's move to communication styles that retain employees, because it's also very important. So just imagining offering promotion to 2 employees. For one employee, they want the outcome. For another, they want the business case. The truth is, either ways, they want the same thing, but maybe different delivery. So for some people, they want a lot of information. For some, they just want you to give them the direct information. So if you think about it, I'm trying to remember. I mean, this week we were in a meeting in the office, and there were a lot of questions about, salary increase, which is typical. There's no HR or meeting that you have with people where they will talk about salary. Some will ask you that question directly, some will not. And depending on how you communicate, you might be passing the right or wrong message. You might be misunderstood. So communication matters. For instance, we are talking about, let's say, cost cutting as an organization. The way you pass the message of cost cutting matters. Some people may think that you are directly telling them that very soon you're going to cut down people, you're going to lay off, blah, 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 blah. Cost is too high, our people cost is too high. So how you communicate is very, very important. Again, be direct. Be as expressive as possible, because one of the ways to also keep people, even when you can't afford a lot of things, I would say here, is to be as open as possible. And then you would even know who's ready to go through that journey with you or not. For instance, if I'm hiring for a company that maybe is just starting, or I make it very clear, I make it very open to say, see, you can't expect a lot now. But what people also want is, if I'm willing to stay here, if I'm willing to fight, let's just use the word fight, how will I be rewarded in the future? You understand? So that transparency is sometimes in fact, most of the time, very, very important. That's what will make them trust. And truly, when that time comes, will we really be rewarded? If you look at, let's think about, there's an organization that I admire from afar, and it's Money Points. And maybe because I know people personally who started with that organization in the very early stages and are still there. And are not just there, even though they've had investors who typically would make demands and say, hire some type of people. We want to see white, we want to see this level of people. You see those people that started with that organization, many of them are shareholders. They were all promoted to senior VPs. They have shares. Tell me, where are they going to? They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. The only thing that will probably happen is they will retire, just like the guy who retired last year that we all saw, who just went into retirement because the money is too much, and now he just wants to do art projects. How many organizations are doing that today? A lot of these startups, what happens is that after a while, when they have raised money, and it has happened to me, they begin to see the people that were with them as placeholders. So all of these things that we're talking about hinges a lot on trust. If people don't trust you, they don't trust your word, they will not in any way want to stay with you. So let's move quickly because my time is fast running out. to the next slide. Thank you. Sorry, just a moment. Designing targeted strategies. Designing targets, I think we talked about it a lot. A lot of organizations fail because their strategy is not necessarily very targets. So again, we've said you need to audit and be sure of where the risk is and identify what is urgent. The same way you have a to-do. What is urgent now? What do we need to do immediately? What will quick wins look like for us? Ask what people value and know that you can't do it alone. There has to be partnership with your management. So whatever it is, know the people that you have. Young people probably need learning. Those who are senior, they need autonomy. They need flexibility. The people who are working, who are parents, they need flexibility. Someone with a high performer, just as I highlighted earlier, needs stretch opportunities. Just remember that one solution cannot solve every retention challenge that you have. Thank you. Please move to the next slide. So yes, as I said earlier, it's very important that you don't just come here and go without an action plan, right? So I hope that you do have your notebook, like Silas, filled with ideas and things that you're going to be doing this differently. So I don't want you to go thinking about so many things that you're going to do. I want you to just, in short, just pick one thing as you leave this meeting to say, what is that one thing that you're going to do differently? So I'll give you an example. Maybe what you can do is to find one flight risk employee that you know right now in your organization and understand what motivates the person. Do that work. Challenge yourself to understand their motivations and challenge yourself to have a meaningful retention conversation with them. It's very, very important because that's the only way that you know that you got value from this webinar that you have attended. And I'd like to close by saying that the organization that will win the war of talent in today's world won't necessarily be the ones paying the highest salaries. They'll be the ones who understand their people the best and build systems that make talented employees choose to stay. I'll read that again because I noted it down. The organizations that win the war for talent won't necessarily be the ones paying the highest salaries. They will be the ones who understand their people the best and build systems that make talented employees choose to stay. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to take your questions now. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. I see the claps. Thank you so much. Sorry, Ademide, I'm done now. You can take over. Thank you. I hope I'm audible though.
Yes, you're audible. I've been trying to speak since, but I don't know. I didn't know my voice was not being heard. I was saying thank you so much. Please, can you? Okay. I was saying thank you so much for the session. It was quite very impactful, interesting, and I love the examples that you shared. They were relatable, and I was able to pick one or two things from that. And I'm also going to practice myself as an HR professional. And I'm saying to our participants that this is the time to ask your questions. So you could use the chat box or you raise your hand so I could allow you to unmute and then you speak. It's time for question and answers. But I think I have one question. Is it safe to say that the bedrock of retention starts with understanding your talent?
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. And I think is embedded in lots of the things that I have said. You have
Okay.
to understand your talent, and that's how we can, just as we've said, we can approach it in a targeted manner.
Yeah.
And we're not just bringing up initiatives because it feels nice. So people are leaving, or you want to keep people, you need to understand the motivation first. Why did they even choose to work with you in the first place? What some people are looking for opportunities to build. You'd see very large organizations losing people, and you wonder why. Sometimes the employee is just really saying, I feel like there's nothing much I can do here. Those very highly motivated people, they don't have, they don't have, they don't really have any interest in systems that are structured. They would rather build. And once they are done building, they want to move on to the next big thing. It's either you then create an environment that allows them to keep building, or they will be leaving. So yes, you must understand your talent to be able to create the right retention strategy.
All right, thank you so much. So there's something you mentioned in the beginning, and I think I want you to do more to expand on that thought. You mentioned that retention is not mainly an HR issue, right? Our HR leaders, team members as well they also have a part to play. And my question is, how would hmm, I know they have a part to play, but could you please explain what part they have to play in retention?
Sorry, who outside of HR are you asking of?
Say that again.
No, I wanted to say who outside of HR. You said
Who
everyone has.
outside of HR? Yes, we've said everyone has a part to play. Team members, managers, leaders, even the organization and the management as a whole. Yes.
Okay. I in my example earlier, when I spoke about my first experience, this was 2010 when I resumed a new role. And the person who welcomed me into the office, who I was going to be working with in the same team, said
Yeah.
to me, why you come work for this kind of place? The people know they grow for here. Oh."
Mhm.
If at that time I had an option, I would quickly go for that next option without even thinking about it. So that's why everybody has a part to play. So for your team members, how do they welcome new hires? What's the experience they give them? That's smile, the culture we create, the enabling environments. How do we treat ourselves? What's the culture? Are we clear on our core values? Beyond the core values, are people clear on the behavioral expectations or the indicators of those core values? So is the environment in itself enabling? And everyone has a part to play in that enabling culture. Now, let's move from the team members. You have a manager, but the person, you can have a fantastic organization that from the outside everybody thinks that, oh, it's great. But within that organization, there are some teams where people are suffering. There is no room for them to speak up. There's no room for them to share their thoughts. What then happens is that those people begin to quiet quit, even if they don't quiet quit. Some people for somebody like me, no matter how much I do not like where I am, I won't quiet quit. I'm going to still do my job and make sure I do it excellently well, because for me, that's my personal brand. But then again, I'm looking out. I am looking for the next opportunity. So that's why I said team member, even your security man at the gates, everybody, Everyone, the security man at the gate has a part to play. How do they welcome people? Do they shout on them when they want to park their cars? The cleaners, everyone, the team members, everybody has that part to play. So by the time you understand, especially even your leaders, you then know how to get all of them involved, how to train appropriately. For instance, onboarding, let people have bodies, let them not feel alone from the very first day. I have lost somebody in their first day of joining the company, not my current company. And not even because I did anything wrong. It's just that the person had some other thing to deal with. But like I said earlier, going back to my previous example, if I had an option to leave that particular job, maybe I had 2 offers and I went to say, let me even test this company and see. And that person said what he said, I would have resigned. But what did I say? The Christian girl in me just said, God forbid, my own no go be like that too. And I eventually stayed in that organization for like 8 years. But that person was clearly a disengaged employee that somehow should not be in the system. But unfortunately, he was there and he was put in a position to welcome somebody into the organization. So who are your bodies? Are you just leaving the selection of bodies to just anybody? What are the criteria that you have defined for body selection? Who is engaging new hires? Your managers, is it just because they are great technically? You're not looking at other behaviors. You're not looking at how they are truly leading people, because it's beyond them just being able to do the job. When it gets to a point in leadership, it's not just about you being able, in fact, you shouldn't even be delivering on some little task anymore. You should just be leading people and influencing them well enough to be inspired to want to perform. So I hope that answers.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, Adeshola. We have another question in the chat box, and I'm just going to read it out to you.
Sorry, I have a hard stop at 2:30, but let's do it quickly.
Okay, so this person says that she recently saw a post about the owner of Ibis Hotel stating that he does not hire Nigerians as managing directors for his hotels. He mentioned that based on his experiences, Nigerians he had previously hired for these roles tend to form groups, gang up, steal, and were not personable. What are your thoughts on this from an HR and leadership perspective? While I understand that business owners may choose to bring in expatriates for expertise or specific experiences, how should leaders approach hiring decision when they are based on experiences that may lead to general assumptions about a particular nationality?
Okay, and this question doesn't seem like a retention question. I'll just quickly respond. I'm so sorry now. I'm very, very concerned for time. I think what I read here is a personal preference issue, and whether you like it or not, experiences shape our perception. That's the truth. If all my life I've worked with, say, female leaders who haven't been very kind to me, is quite expected that I may begin to think that, yes, I'm a woman, that female people cannot lead. So whoever this person is, I guess his decision has been based on his experience, and that's what has built this perception. Now, your question is, how should leaders approach hiring when they are based on experiences that may lead to general assumptions? I guess the truth is there needs to be a reshaping of their mindsets. And that's why when we talk about hiring, we talk about being careful of biases. The mind that, oh, a Yoruba person is this, an Igbo person is that. If somebody happens to work with such a leader who has that mindset, there needs to be a reshaping to help the person open up to having nationalities. Again, is people's experience differ, and you cannot take away anybody's experience. I always say one of the things you never do is that you don't disregard anybody's feelings. Their feelings have been, just like recently, I saw a post on LinkedIn where somebody said they will never hire a Nigerian again. And that's because a number of Nigerians must have gone into the organization and not represented Nigeria well. You can't take that guy's experience away from him. There has to be, if there's an opportunity to retrain, to have conversations, then there has to be those conversations. If you're an HR person working in that organization, right, you may need to choose your battle, and that's the truth. There are certain things that you cannot change. If for example, somebody has a mindset that I've had a boss who doesn't really value certain parts of HR and feels that anybody can do it. And so when I'm trying to fight for a promotion or salary increase, there's always that, no, this person wants to go, let that person go. I would simply just find a replacement easily. That's the person's mindset. At some point, no matter what I say, he's not going to accept it. So I will decide whether I want to continue to work with such a person or not. I've been in a conversation with a leader who would ask women on calls, are you married? How many kids do you have? When do you want to have a child? And I'm asking this person, why are you asking women this question? We're not asking men this question. And he said, it's important to me. And we went into a hot argument. No matter the data that I find, this person already has a mindset that is important to have this information. It is now my decision to ask, do I want to continue to work with this person or not? So just to summarize, it's perception, and it's hard to change people's perception. And that's the truth we have to come to. So you will decide how you want to play your own and where you want to work and practice professionally. Thank you. I hope it helps.
Thank you so much, Adeshola, for sharing. I think we can all agree that this has been an insightful one. 1 hour. Yes, thank you, Adebisi. I think it was the one. Okay. Thank you for the clap. Thank you, Precious. All right. We're really grateful to have Adeshola here and talk to us about retention. We've learned so much. Personally, I've learned so much. And I love how that you mentioned that, retention is actually bespoke. It's not one size fit all. It's not, this is what is working here. I'm going to bring it here and do it for the same people. And because people want different things, right? People want different things. And that's why we're getting to know what each person wants, what can work for this person, what can work for this group of people, right? And so many more. And then this will lead us talking about something that we had here. But before that, because I know that our facilitator needs to leave very soon, I just want two people to give a feedback to our facilitator. How has the session been for you? What's one thing that stood out for you? And what's one thing that you're going to be doing differently as a result of this webinar? Just two people. You can raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Thank you. Okay, everyone. All right, I'm not seeing anybody's hand. We have over 25 people here. Our facilitator is about to leave, so I'd like to get a feedback from somebody. Or should I call names? Adebisi says, thank you, Adeshola. Lisa also said, thank you for that response, Adeshola. Let's just have one person at least. Okay, at this point, I think I'm just going to call somebody. Should I call Peggy? I'm not sure of this name. I'm seeing Bell. You were the one that asked the question. I'd like to get a feedback from you. There's also Aramide. I have Dimola, Salami, Koinsola. Lisa says, I really enjoyed the meeting. Thank you, Crush Tag. Bell says, I can't talk, but the session was insightful. Okay, I think we all agree that it was really insightful. The things that you probably have been talking or be thinking about it, and having additional bring a word of, should I say, leadership voice to that just really amplifies it. I mean, speaking for myself, right? So it's been Okay, Adebukola says thank you so much. So thank you so much, Adeshola. It's been so nice talking to you, and thank you for sharing from your wealth of experience and wisdom. Thank you so much. And as a company from Crosseye Solutions, we say a very big thank you to you. So that being said, I think we can allow you to go now.
Thank you very
But
much,
for our
everyone. Thank
participants,
you.
we would
Bye-bye.
still like to have you because we have a feedback form we want you to fill. And then on your screen, if you look closely, you'll see that we have something called Discover Your Natural Style. Adeshola has mentioned that everyone in the workplace has different personality, and you need to understand people differently. You need to understand what motivates them. You need to understand what makes them disengage. We have a tool in Costa called the DISC personality test. It's a tool that you use to determine the personality of the people in your team, because we understand that everybody has different personality, what excites one and what doesn't make one happy, and it's different. So if you're going to actually take retention, serious, like she had said, that it's bespoke, you need to understand what this person's want, what this person doesn't want, and this personality tool can help you achieve that. It's a tool that we administer in Crosstie Solutions, and I'm sure you want your team, you would like to do this for your team, so you can always reach out to us to help you navigate through this. I mean, this is what we do as a consulting firm, and this too, trust me, it's something that will help you understand your team, your people better. So Crosseye Solution offers this solution. Actually, we offer this too, and if you like us to do this for you, you can definitely reach out to us. If you go on our website, you will see our email address, you see a contact that you can reach out to, and there'll be someone to respond to you. Okay, so like I said earlier, we have a feedback form. We'll get there very soon, but I also want to talk to you about our resource vault. This is a So if you go on our website, we have a section dedicated to this, right? We have books on our website that you can read to develop yourself. Like we said, we're a people development organization. If you want to develop yourself on, influence or how to actually balance without burnout, we have a book like that on our website. All you need to do is to go in, log in, and then download the books. And the book is very interactive. It's a PDF, but different from the usual PDF that we know. When you go on there, you can always scroll, read it, go through it. It's interactive, meaning that you can type in, you can put your comments, you can put your question. If you're reading and you decide to close and then come back to it, your response, your comments, your questions, all of that will be saved even right on that page, and you can always continue from where you stop. It's a very interesting page, it's designed for us, right? For easy use, for you to be able to read anywhere on the go, literally, right? So please visit our website for this. And as a first time customer, when you visit our resource vault, you would have access to a particular percent of discount. I'd like you to check for yourself and see what the discount is. But as a participant of our webinar, we have an exclusive offer of 30% off of your first purchase in our resource vault. So if you want to purchase something from our resource vault and you've attended our webinar, you can always reach out to me, reach out to the admin, and then we'll give you 30% off, right? Okay, so let's get to your feedback form. I know the session has been beautiful. I know some of us have said, oh, we're at work or we're in meetings and we cannot talk, right? But we'd like to hear from you. And not just hear from you, we also like to give you a certificate of participation or attendance, right? When you fill the feedback form, you have access to that certificate. So please and please and please, we have 25 people here, right? I want to get at least 25 responses from us. So as we're here, you can just minimize. The link to the feedback is in the chat box, so you can check and just click on the link. It will take you directly to the feedback form. While you're applying, after applying, put in your thoughts, how the session was, what you'd like us to do better, if you enjoyed it, or if there's any facilitator you're expecting. For those that have, journeyed with us so far, if there's a particular facilitator you think, oh, I think this person should come talk on this particular topic and cross-tie webinar, you can put their name there and we'll definitely take that up.
Please check the chat box for the feedback form. Also, before we go, we have a knowledge of it's a community of professionals from different spheres of life, different work, different industries, right? We would like you to join our community. When you join our community, you get access to tips, learning tips. You get access to discounts that cross-site solutions offer. You get access to really the front seats. The front seats basically in cross-site solutions. So we dish out so many things in the course of the year. For example, our anniversary is coming and we're giving back to the community. One of the things that you would get is when you join our webinar. I mean, you'll be informed, right? And you also get to be a beneficiary of the beautiful things that we deliver in Crosslight Solutions, right? And also, you get to know when our next webinar is coming up. So the link is also in the chat box. Click on it, and we would be delighted to welcome you to our community. It's been an interesting one so far. And before we go, I'd like to hear from somebody. I mean, we've spoken about retention, human capital, leadership, people, money, salary, and all of these things. Even though our facilitator is not here, when we're here, we can still have a great conversation. I'd like to just get a feedback from just one person, how the session has been for us.